This is Marianne Martindale of the Alliance for a Better Utah, and welcome to this week's edition of the Better Utah Beat. Last week, the world witnessed another record fall by the wayside as Earth-warming carbon dioxide levels reached an all-time high of over 400 parts per million. It's not exactly the kind of record we want to be breaking. In an interview with the New York Times, one scientist describing the feat said, "It feels like the inevitable march toward disaster," while another said, "I feel like the time to do something was yesterday." These people aren't exactly dummies. They're top scientists at places like Yale, Columbia, and the Scripps Institute of Oceanography. There is near unanimous consensus that climate change is accelerating and that acceleration is caused by us. In fact, the last time the Earth saw this much carbon dioxide in the air was during the Pliocene epoch, nearly 3 million years ago, and long before humans started walking the Earth. Then temperatures were approximately 4 Fahrenheit degrees warmer than they are now, and ocean levels were approximately 80 feet higher. As you can imagine, it's not exactly an epoch that would suit well our current civilization. But unless carbon dioxide rates decrease, it's exactly where we're headed. This concern for decreasing the amount of carbon in the air, by decreasing the amount of carbon we take out of the Earth, is fueling a drive for new EPA standards called Tier III motor vehicle and emission and fuel standards. The standards, not yet adopted by the EPA, would cut pollutants like NOx, carbon monoxide, and VOCs by 30% by the year 2030. Not only would these cuts keep carbon out of the air by reducing vehicle emissions, but for Utah it would also go a long way to reducing the harmful pollution Utah sees every winter and summer, a problem we can no longer afford to ignore. The new Tier III standards take a more comprehensive approach to curbing pollution by considering fuels and engines as part of a single system. That means the new regulations would require changes in the way fuel is produced and engines are manufactured. The standards require a 2/3 reduction in sulfur, larger catalytic converters, heat pumps to avoid increased startup emissions on cold days, and better designed fuel tanks and lines. The benefits of these rather simple changes could be enormous for Utah. Right now, it's estimated that 57% of the pollution buildup during the winter is caused by motor vehicles. But instituting the Tier III standards would be like removing 33 million vehicles from the road. That bears repeating. Instituting the Tier III standards would be like removing 33 million vehicles from the roads. The benefits for our health and economy are even greater. The new standards would prevent more than 2,500 premature deaths each year, prevent more than 3.3 million days of missed work in school, and produce between $8.5 and $22.5 billion annually in economic and healthcare benefit. And perhaps the best news is that we can get these benefits at a very reasonable cost. Reducing the sulfur in our gasoline is less than 1 cent per gallon, and the cost to vehicles would be between $125 and $150, or in other words, a month's worth of gas. These changes are cheap enough to afford while the consequences are too costly to ignore. Climate change is accelerating, and the results for Utah will likely be worse inversions. However, adopting the EPA's Tier III standards would be an effective way of both reducing our carbon footprint and improving the likelihood of breathing clean air for years to come. This is Marianne Martindale with this week's edition of the Better Utah Beat. Have a great week, and remember, together we can make a better Utah. For more information, visit betterutah.org.